encourage you to read it.
All right, so, gosh, it was just after George and I had started the company, and we had gone down to Moab. We like to go to Moab, do some off-roading. And I remember where we were exactly. We were on the White Rim Trail, just really getting started on the trail. And back in the day, and you would remember this, Doc, but and Aaron, I think you would as well. Yeah, well, it's because you go back far enough. I wouldn't say old, you just go back far enough. But if you remember Success Magazine and Darren Hardy, in those magazines, they would include the little CDs with the messages, right?
There were some hot articles in that.
Some really good ones, yeah. I mean, Chandler, so a magazine is he's like, yeah, I know it is. So Success Magazine would have these CDs in it, and they would always have, some pretty good content. I remember one time Darren Hardy interviewed, who's the guy who got shot down over the Pacific in the plane? They made a movie about him. Do you remember that one?
The Survivor one?
Yeah.
The Italian?
The Italian guy, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but anyway.
Remembers.
But great content. I mean, it wasn't throwaway stuff. And I remember when we were on that trip to Moab, George pulled out one of the CDs. What was it?
Life of Pi.
No, yeah, but
As an Indian kid that gets stuck at sea with a tiger. Rock shelter.
no, but thank you for participating.
Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. So where was I? So he pulls out the CD and puts it in, and I remember exactly where I was, and it was Jim Rohn, and I had never heard Jim Rohn before. This was the first time that I'd heard Jim Rohn, and this was like 16 years ago, not quite.
First name was
summer.
Louis.
Louis Zamperini.
Yes.
That's it. Great. It's a great story. If you have
Yes.
not read that story, if you've not heard the story, you can actually get on YouTube and listen to the interview that Darren Hardy did of Louis Zamperini. He actually competed in what is it? What's the title of the?
It's Unbroken.
Unbroken, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But you can hear his story about he competed in the Olympics in Germany, and then went on to serve in the war. Incredible story. And the guy he lived to be 100 years old.
Little Spitfire Italian guy.
Yeah, really. So great stuff that you would find. And I heard Jim talking, and I'd never heard this guy before. And I remember what he said. It was a very simple message. He said, work harder on yourself than you do what?
Good job.
And when he said that, I'd never heard that before. You might say, well, that's a pretty simple statement. Well, to a kid from Orangeville, Utah, who'd never thought about that. And I just thought, well, of course you work hard at your job. Of course you're going to work hard at figuring out how to do the thing that you're paid for, right? But for him to say, stop, no, listen, work harder on yourself than you do at your job, and then go on to explain what that really meant. I have to tell you, especially given the time, because we had just started the company, and we were identifying, okay, who's going to do what are your experiences, what are your expertise, what are you good at, what do you like to do? And what I started to see, Chandler, is there was a lot in terms of my responsibilities as an owner of the company that I realized I was not prepared for. I thought I was good at public speaking because I was the debate team captain. I like to go up to the U and on what do they call it, like May Day, when all the communists and socialists would put their tables out, try to sell their philosophies and their theories. I'd go up to argue with them. Or if I had open mic, I would be the lone conservative who would go up there and stand up there and argue against them in this public format, right? So I thought I was really good at that. Well, what I didn't understand was that the idea of argumentation, of debate, was completely different than standing in front of a group of people and inspiring them and motivating them and getting them to pay attention to what you're saying and actually take action. And you're nodding your head like, yeah, there's completely different. So I'm listening to Jim say this, good morning, and I have to tell you, given all the pressure that I was feeling, because I realized that as I was asked to do a morning ascent or to do a base camp, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and there was an extreme amount of pressure there. And I heard Jim say that, and I have to tell you, I got emotional, I really did. I started to get tears in my eyes because I realized, like, holy crap, number one, I'm not where I want to be, but number two, there's actually a solution. And he was like telling me, John, this was like Jim saying this to me, John, you got to pay attention, you got to refocus. You have to work on yourself. It's success, as you've heard this before, and it sounds trite, but it's not. Success is an inside job. You have to work from the inside out. If you don't work that way, it's not going to work. That's where it starts. And so that whole that conversation and listening to Jim in that short message that probably wasn't any more than 20, 25 minutes, really began my personal journey of personal development. I'd really never done anything that was based on a conscious decision to work from the inside out. And so then I started to search for other people to listen to, like a Jim Rohn, and there were a few of them that I really got attached to. And I just want to, in addition to Jim, I want to cover two others and kind of their messages, because there are 3 points that I want to make this morning. So the first point would be this, Jim's point, and it's aside from this working on yourself, right? I'll tell you a quick story. What I did when I discovered Jim Rohn and discovered Success Magazine and the CDs, I started to put those CDs in the CD player in the car in the morning when I would take the kids to school. And I would do that consistently with Jack, my son. And this was probably about 2 or 3 years after him and me listening to this stuff over and over again. We went to a Bees baseball game. And we were in a box, the box seats in the suite. And they had all the food and everything that you normally have in those sort of setups. And we were, watching the game, socializing. And we couldn't stay for the entire thing, Bob, because we had a family thing to do. In fact, I think we were getting family photos. My former wife was always good about doing annual photos. And this night was the night that we had the family photo thing. So I find Jack and say, Jack, we got to go. And he looked at me very disappointed. And the first thought he had was, well, if we're going, I got to go get more of those M&Ms. So he went over to the M&M bowl and pulled the big hand out and put it in his pocket, pulled out another one and put it in his pocket. And then we were walking out, we got to the car, we were in the parking lot pulling out, and I remembered very distinctly him saying to me, he was in the back seat in his booster seat, and he said to me, Appa, that's Dad in Korean. He said, Appa, I don't understand. I said, what do you mean you don't understand? He said, well, Jim Rohn says that when you sign up, you stay. And it didn't make sense to him. He said, because he understood the message, right? Jim said, when you sign up for something, you stay. And we're at this baseball game, and we're not staying until the end. And Jack didn't get that, And Jack's response to that, it was like one of those things that like it etches it in your brain how important it is that when you commit to something, you stay. So the question that I have for you is this. How many of you signed up for real estate? Right? Now you're here, so you could ostensibly say, well, I'm staying, but staying isn't just showing up. Staying is actually what? It's doing it. That's what staying is, because there are a lot of people in life who go through the motions. Every single day they go through the motions, but they're not really what? They're not really there. So I would ask you this, are you really there when it comes to real estate? Yeah, you can show up, but what are you doing when you show up? It's really important. Jim Rohn's statement, when you sign up, you stay. What does that mean? It means that when you sign up and you stay, that you lean into the system. You lean into the process. You lean into the formula. You do what it is you're supposed to do. You're not just there physically, but you're there mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're all there in order to get the results that you want. Because if you're not there mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, are you going to get the results that you want? And the answer is what? No, you won't. You might get some of the results that you want. You might get a little bit of the results that you want. You might get a little bit more of that. But you won't get all of what you need, because it takes all of what you need to get to the level that you want. Because if I were to ask you, each of you, what you really want, you're probably not looking for average. Right? You're looking for well beyond average. And this is the sort of business where you can ask for well beyond average, but you have to be what? Well beyond what? Average. Well beyond average. You got to show up. You got to stay. You got to lean into the system. You got to do the job. You got to know what the job is. Which leads me to the second point. And the second person that I've really connected with, because these 3 guys are the guys that I've connected with that I would say that I listen to probably the most, but there are others that I listen to as well. But the second one is Les Brown. And Les Brown, his primary message, and those of you who've listened to Les, you'll hear his voice when I say this. Les will say, in his fiery tones with his energy, is how is what? How is none of your business? How is none of your business? And I would say for you two, Michael and Chandler, that this is a message that you two really need to hear because you're brand new in the business. you will have a tendency, because I've watched it over the years, I've been doing this business for 31 years. Good morning, Luz. I've been doing this for 31 years. That's tough to say, because I used to be the young guy in the room, and now I'm the old guy in the room. I feel like I'm even older than you, Doc. How old are you?
Many ways you are.
You said that like Buddha. That was like really said of you.
But not in years, 68.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that surprises me. I thought you were gonna say like 58 or 59. There you go. Well, you look 10 years younger.
Good job.
You make 68 look like the new 49. Looking good.
There, John.
Yeah. But look, particularly you two, you'll have a tendency to say, well, I'm gonna wait until I go out and door knock more. You're gonna wait before you get on the phone. You're gonna wait to maybe role play with a role play partner until you figure it out a little bit more. I gotta know more about it. I gotta study it more. I have to know the answers to the questions, because they're gonna ask me questions, they're gonna give me objections, and I need to know those answers to those objections, yes.
Would anybody like to join that club? Because I'm president.
Well, here's the thing, 31 years, I can tell you, Aaron, I'm still learning about real estate and how to do it, I really am. In the Western world, we have this idea that success, that mastery is a destination, that we finally get there. And you might look at me and say, well, he's got it all figured out, and I'm here to tell you, I don't. In Eastern philosophy, they say that mastery is a journey. Every single day, you're moving one step closer to being one step closer to being one step closer to the journey. There's no end to it. There isn't. There's always another thing to learn. There's always another thing to improve upon. And what I would ask you, maybe rhetorically, is, are you getting ready to get ready? Say, I'm gonna get ready, I'm gonna keep studying this and doing this, so that when the opportunity comes, well, I'm telling you, the opportunity will never come in real estate. You have to be proactive and go out and find the opportunities. To Les Brown's point, how is none of your business? Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that you engage in the activity and the action, and by doing that, you'll figure it out. Do you know how to swim?
Yes.
Do you know how to run?
Yes.
Okay. Did you practice both of those a lot?
A lot, yes.
Right. Did you figure out how to do it by watching others do it, or is it the fact that you just got out there and actually did it?
Practice and practice.
Practice and practice, right? Is there a particular skill that you have that you're good at?
Snowboarding.
Snowboarding. Did you learn how to snowboard by watching others do it, or did you just get out there and fall over and over and over again?
Yeah, I just went out.
That's it, that's the point. There isn't anything that you're good at in this world you've become exceptionally good at that you figured out to do by watching other people do it. I mean, how many of you know how to swim? Did you watch other people swim and say, okay, now I got to figure it out, and you went out there and you swam? No. Who threw you in the pool, Bob? Did somebody throw you in?
I don't think anyone.
You got in willingly?
I think I just got in.
Yeah, no, I had to get thrown in. So, some of you, I feel like I need to throw you in every single day. It's like, get in the pool! Do it! Because that is the only way that you're going to figure it out. How is none of your business. If you will just simply start to do it, you'll figure out how. Here's what I know. Yes, Ruby, go ahead.
I love that analogy because when I was learning swimming, I remember I got in the pool, but when I started to swim, and they say you stand in a place you can tread, I could not do that.
Yeah.
I just thought I was going to drown eventually. And so sometimes that fear gets in your head, even though when you're trying and it gets difficult. But once you get that rhythm, it becomes easier and easier. The only thing then you have to worry about is the destination.
Yep.
How far are you swimming? Where are you going? And I remember that because I've learned how to swim, but just by doing it.
By doing it.
Like you have to. And then I didn't know how to stand in one place. I'm like, I'm gonna drown, I'm gonna drown. But then I got to the point where I could dive to the bottom of the pool and pick something up. So if you challenge yourself a little bit more every single time, you learn a little more. And
Right.
You get so happy about it.
And that is mastery. That is the journey. Here's what, this is a really important point. This is what I know. And you all relate to this. One of the best instructors, anything that you want to learn, anything that you want to remember, anything you want to get great at, is pain. It's emotion. Because the emotion and pain you experience when you're doing something, right, it teaches you. For example, how many of you enjoy touching the hot stove? Right. How many of you avoid it at all costs? Right? You know that because, I mean, you've ever actually accidentally ever done that or touched anything hot. It doesn't feel good. So when you do something, right, and there's emotion, pain attached to it, it is a great instructor, it is a great teacher. And that's why, to Les's point, how is none of your business? If you will just simply, because when you say, how is my business, what you're saying is that you're allowing the fear of the unknown to dictate whether you're going to take action or not. And if I don't know, I'm fearful because I don't want to make any what? I don't want to make any mistakes. So therefore, I won't engage in that activity. I'll engage in the activities where I know I'm not going to make any mistake because I don't want to look stupid, don't want to sound stupid, don't want to feel stupid. But the only way to actually ever learn anything that you don't know how to do is actually to do it so that you actually do make what? Mistakes. Because it's in making the mistakes that you learn what not to do, but most importantly what? What to do.
So we are saying that the only way to learn is sometimes to look stupid, because we will make mistakes.
Okay, and you can say look stupid, but I just say that's just part of the process. You can say I feel stupid, look stupid. That's up to you. It's up to us, right? I try to interpret it this way because I used to do that, right? But I just say that is part of the what? Part of the process. It's part of the journey. And if I'll embrace that, if I recognize that is simply what I have to do in order to get to where I have to be. In other words, it is the what? It is the way. You've heard that before. They say that in Eastern cultures, it is the way. That is the way. And what I find is so many people resist the way, and so therefore they never get what it is that they want. And if we wouldn't resist the way, to Les Brown's point, how is none of your business? Just take what? Just take the first step. Just take action. And if you will allow yourself to do that, that first step will teach you something. And then you'll discover something. And then that allows you to do what? To take the next step. And the next, and the next. And the next thing you know, you're not just walking, you're not just jogging, you're what? You're running on the path, the way. And then the final one is this. And this guy, I say this because I enjoy his content. I can't stand to listen to him, but I love reading him. And I say that, I don't want to discourage you from listening to him because his voice may not grate on you, but it grates on me. It's Brian Tracy. But Brian Tracy has great content, right? You're right.
I can't read anything after I've heard voices.
Seriously?
I
So you hear his voice when you're
can't.
reading it?
I
Yeah,
hear voices when I've heard them.
Oh, I'm so sorry because it is great content. And the thing that stands out in my mind with Brian Tracy is this. Time, and I want you to write this down, time management is a myth. Time management is a myth. Well, what did he mean by that? Why does he say that? Well, each of us gets 87,000 seconds every single day. There isn't one person who gets more time or less time in a given day. Doesn't matter whether you're the most powerful person in the world or the least powerful person in the world or anyone in between. You get the same amount of time. So if that's true, right, and we're talking about success, we're talking about engaging in the right activities, being on the right pathway, doing the things that are necessary to be successful, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, he wrote a great book, and if you've not read this book, I would encourage you to read it. It's called Eat That Frog. And in the book, he talks about the concept of time management is a myth. It's not about time management, because everybody gets the same amount of time. It's about event management. It's about prioritizing. So Chandler, as somebody who's new in the business, if I were you, I'd be asking the question, well, what did Brian Tracy mean? If it's not about time management, it's about event management. What does Brian Tracy mean when he says that to me and I hear those words? It's not about time management, it's about event management. It means that there are certain things that I should be doing that if I did those things within the time that I have, I could actually accomplish what I want, no matter who I am. Because I get the same amount of time as anybody else. I just have to make sure, number one, that when I sign up, I what? That I stay. Number two, that I don't get ready, so I'll be ready when I'm ready. I just simply begin to what? Take what? Take action. And number three, make sure that I'm taking the what action? The right action. So what events should you be engaged in on a daily basis? And listen, if you've heard me say this once, then you know the answer because I've said it a million times. Do your job. It's not a mystery as to what your job is in real estate. Now, maybe for you two in particular, you might say, I don't quite know, I don't quite understand. So if there is ambiguity or uncertainty there, then let me just remind you of what it is. Number one, this business is not about homes. It's not about real estate. It's about what? People. Which means that if you're going to interact with people, if you're going to build a relationship with people, you're going to help people, you actually have to have what with them? Rapport. And the only way to build rapport with somebody is to do what? Talk to them. So I would say to any of you in this room, I would ask you, first of all, are you actively engaged in the business of real estate or mortgages?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. If you say that you are and you didn't talk to a single person yesterday proactively, not them calling you, right, but you proactively calling them and having a conversation consciously about them buying or selling real estate, then you didn't do your job. Then you didn't engage in that event that Brian Tracy talks about, because he talks about prioritizing. In the book, he uses a great analogy. He says this. He says that there are three types of events. There are the tadpoles, there are the frogs, and then there are the toads. And he said, most people, when it comes to the events of the day, prioritizing, he says they'll choose the tadpoles over the toads or the frogs. Why? Because if you had to eat, if you had the choice between a tadpole, a frog, or a toad, which one would you eat? If you had to eat one, which one would you eat?
That's slip them down.
You'd slip those little tadpoles down, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You said, and Bob saying, no, I'd take a frog and I'd deep fry those legs, man, and I'd enjoy them. Just like they do with
vegetarian,
friends.
man.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, okay. So none of you would want to eat the toad. None of you would want to eat the frog. You take that little tiny tadpole. Well, that's his point. He says everybody wakes up on a daily basis consciously and has a tendency to choose the tadpole. Because they're easier. And you can fill up on tadpoles and say, I did my what? I did my job. Now, what are the tadpoles in real estate? The tadpoles in real estate are going to be the marketing stuff, the collateral material, my business card. Got to figure out this system, that gizmo, that gadget, my headshot.
Blog.
Yeah. My blog. I fill my day up with all of these sorts of things, and then I look back and say, oh yeah, gosh, that was a busy day.
Put gas in my car.
Put gas in my car. In other words, get ready to get ready, so I'll be ready when I'm ready. Okay, do your job. Number one, prospect, talk to people. Every single day. You should not wake up and let a day go by where you're not talking to as many people as possible, because that is the answer to every challenge that you suffer in the business of real estate. Don't have enough buyers? Talk to more people. Don't have enough sellers? Talk to more people. Don't have enough money in the bank? Talk to more people. Don't have enough homes under contract? Talk to more people. Don't have enough skill to get a contract signed? Talk to more people, because that's how you'll learn the skill to get people to sign contracts. Whatever your challenge is, I guarantee you, the answer to that challenge in the business of real estate is to talk to more people. So don't act confused. Don't say, I don't know what to do. I'm confused, John. What should I do? The answer is simple. It's always the same. I would tell you the same answer every single time. Talk to more people. Well, how do I do that? I don't care. Knock on doors. Make phone calls. Get in grocery stores. Go to the bank. Go to the gas station. Just talk to people. It doesn't matter who they are, because everybody is looking to either buy or sell real estate, or they know somebody who's looking to buy or sell real estate. But you have to prioritize that activity. And if you won't, well then you won't be successful. And if you will, well then you will. It's not a question of if you will, it's only a question of time, if you'll engage in the right activities. So, having said that, any thoughts, any questions? Yes?
Even if they're not ready,
Yeah.
if you let them know that you were in the business, when they have that conversation or they hear that conversation,
Right.
they want to be the person that delivers something.
Yes.
They want to be the
They
person.
want to do a
that delivers
favor.
something.
They want to help.
Like, oh, I have somebody, I was just talking to them, we weren't buying anything, but here you go. I did that with one of my commercial clients. They weren't ready to buy anything, but they gave me their cousin, then that cousin gave me another friend.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful business, only if they know you're in the business.
Right.
And some people will use you and some people will not, and it doesn't have to be a heartbreaking scenario. you just say, oh, I'm sorry that we weren't able to work out this time, but hey, use me as a resource. If you have anyone else that needs help, let me know.
Right. In other words, become the trusted expert, which means that you have to engage in that activity consistently. It's about discipline. It's like Jim Rohn says, when you sign up, you stay. Be consistent, stay involved, lean to the process, the formula. It's not complicated. We complicate real estate, and it is not, I'm telling you, it is not complicated, because if it were, I wouldn't have stayed in the business. I've been doing this for 31 years. I am not that smart. I failed out of ninth grade English, I failed out of law school. This was the gig that I decided to try, and it stuck. And the only reason it did is because I have been disciplined and consistent at doing what I've talked about. Just simply talk to people. And if you will, therein you will find all the answers to the questions and the challenges that you're facing. Yes.
How'd you know I had a thought?
Because you had an exclamation point above your head.
Well, the other day I was listening to Ed Milet interviewing John Maxwell. And Maxwell said about getting ready to get ready. If you need to go somewhere at night and it's 7 miles away, the headlights on your car are only going to shine about 300 feet
Right.
max. You're not going to see the way the whole way right away.
Right.
You figure it out as you go. And it's even like going around a corner. You don't know what's around the corner.
Right. You may slow your speed down a bit, but you still go around the corner.
Yeah,
Right.
and figure that out again. That was a hard thing for me to learn.
Yeah. It is hard. It's scary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you see 600 feet ahead of yourself when your lights only shine 300 feet?
But then there's a guy door knocking, he took my card. 30 days later, he called me back and said, I want to change houses. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, the opportunity's there, but you have to be there if you're present. Ed talks about it in the book, The Power of One More. It's like, if you will be present, right, and realize that that thing that you're looking for, success, a listing, a buyer, is just around the corner. If that's what you believe, then you'll be resourceful. You'll look for it, you'll see it. But if you don't believe that it's there, and you think that it's so far away, then you won't behave in a way that presents it, and you'll keep continually kicking the can down the road. And I watch agents do that. They will have this attitude that it's so far out there that they behave that way, and therefore they miss the opportunity. And then their fellow agents who are finding the opportunities right now because they're looking for it.
Here's another hard lesson learned. If you're out on a fishing boat and there's a school of tuna
Mm-hmm.
and you're not sure how to bait your hook, do something and get your hook in the water.
Right.
Because if you miss that school and then it's 5 miles till you find another one, or a lesser market until you find more fish,
Right.
you've lost that opportunity to build income right there to
Right.
carry you through because you're so busy figuring it out.
It's a good
Hard
analogy.
lesson learned.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy. Yeah. Welcome, Aubrey.
Thank you, John.
Good to see you. Okay, all right, any other thoughts as we finish it off? Anybody online?